The EU's Earth Observation Programme has published its annual report on climate change during a year in which weather extremes caused thousands of deaths globally. And according to EU scientists, 2022 was the fifth warmest on record, with the average global temperature almost 1.2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. Well, the report says atmospheric concentrations of the polluting greenhouse gases carbon dioxide and methane reached their highest points in the satellite record in 2022. In Europe, temperatures are increasing more than twice the global average. Last summer was Europe's hottest on record, with the continent experiencing heat waves, widespread droughts and increased wildfires. Well, let's talk to Dr. Samantha Burgess, who's the Deputy Director of Copernicus Climate Change Service. Dr. Burgess, welcome to the programme. You've been through all of this extraordinary data. Perhaps I begin by asking you what it is you find most alarming, what most stands out.
Thank you. And I think the most shocking findings that we found from the 2022 report, not only was it the fifth warmest year on record globally and the second warmest year on record for Europe, that the last 8 years have been the 8 warmest years on record. So the actions and commitments that have been made at the international conferences are not currently seeing a dent in the trends of greenhouse gases, and we need urgent action if we're going to stay within the limits of the Paris Agreement that all global leaders committed to in 2015 of limiting climate change to 1.5 degrees if possible.
Which parts of the world have shown to be most vulnerable in the face of this extreme weather?
I think that's a tricky question to answer, because the reality is all parts of the globe are vulnerable depending on the type and intensity of extreme events. But certainly one of the most shocking events of 2022 for me has to be the devastating floods that we saw in August in Pakistan. But there are a huge number of heat waves across the world as well, and the impacts of both the heat waves and the drought in the Horn of Africa have huge implications for the food bowl in that region as well.
This is another difficult question, I guess. It's more about forecasting rather than looking back at your data. But does your research that your team collected suggest that these extreme weather events are likely to increase in frequency and perhaps severity?
Yes, so that's actually an easy question to answer. So as long as greenhouse gas concentrations in the atmosphere continue to rise, we know from the scientific evidence that extreme events will continue to occur globally, both more frequently and more intensely. We don't know where and when they will occur, but we know the probability of extreme events, whether they're extreme heat waves, extreme droughts, or extreme flooding events, will occur more frequently and more intensely all over the world.
Reading this report makes for pretty depressing reading. I mean, is it all simply too late? Can we honestly really do anything about it? No, absolutely, it's not too late. And I think that's one of the pieces of information that often gets missed, that every single fraction of a degree matters. So the choices that individuals make, the way they consume or don't consume, really make a difference to the amount of emissions that end up going into our atmosphere, which then has a direct consequence for how warm our planet will be. And we all need to pull together and encourage global leadership to ensure that we can change these trends that we've observed. Dr. Samantha Burgess, Deputy Director of Copernicus Climate Change Service, thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you very much.